This is Anker's newest high output power bank. And this is actually my first time having an NDA from a company for a YouTube video. I've been secretly messing around with this thing since before CES this year, which is where they officially announced it. What sets this apart from other power banks is its output capacity. This battery can put out a total of 165 watts of power. That's across 4 different outlets. For reference, your iPhone 15 Pro can only charge with a maximum of 20 watts. So this could handle charging 8 iPhones simultaneously if it had that many ports. You can charge your MacBook Pro with this thing even faster than its wall outlet can, and at the same time charge both your phone and your iPad, also at their full charging speeds. So for me, that means if I'm on my way to somewhere and I'm bringing like a phone and a laptop and a camera, I can just toss all of them into a bag, all of them plugged into this battery, and everything will charge up really fast on my way. Sure, we've all got a car charger, but not a 160 watt car charger that can handle a MacBook Pro. I think my car only puts out like 15 watts. It also means that if you've got any devices that require more power than a small battery can put out, you can use this battery to power them in the rare remote situation where that might be helpful. Like my Rodecaster Pro 2 mixer, for example. It just uses USB-C for power, but for whatever reason it needs 20 volts. It's only pulling 8 watts. This thing has a little watt meter on there, but it needs 20 volts. Not all USB-C batteries can put out 20 volts. This one, for instance, only does, I think, 3.5, 5, 9, and 12 volts. So if I ever want to, I don't know, set up a podcast in the woods, this battery's got me covered. My previous big battery, this one from Lolano, can't do 20 volts. So even though this thing only pulls 8 watts, it still won't start up with this battery. Into the drawer you go, little buddy. But I could run this thing for what, 11 hours off of this Anker battery? This comes in handy in my car from time to time because I just have so many things with batteries and I am terrible at remembering to keep them all topped up. And my car dash only has 2 USB ports. So if I need to charge my phone and my iPad, my computer, a camera, my drone, and like a smaller battery bank for my pocket, with my car's 2 ports plus this thing, I'm covered. I can do literally all of that at once. What a world we're living in. The display will show which ports are pulling how much power, and it can divvy out power unevenly. If my phone can only take 20 watts, but my drone is asking for 60 watts, it'll be able to charge them each at their own individual peak speeds. Oh, this is my wife.
Brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Oh, really good though. You've got a USB-A out, a USB-C in and out, and these 2 built-in USB-C cables on the top. Both also in and out, meaning these cables can charge stuff, or you can use these to charge the battery. One of them is retractable. If you give it a little tug, it'll park itself flush across the top of the bank. And the other is like a tether, which they say can hold 40 pounds. It just sort of comes apart at the top here to reveal the plug. But they say this can hold 40 pounds, and I guess that means I have to test it. One of the scarier things I've tried to do. This is 40 pounds held up from a USB-C cable. I better spin that around so you can see I'm not lying. Good, if that would have broke, I'm not sure how I would have finished the video. I guess let's test the port after doing that. Meh, I've scrolled 1,700 bananas. More realistically, you can use this to dangle your brick off the side of something. For instance, if I'm using this to keep my camera alive for a bunch of hours at once, I can hang this battery off my tripod with this cable, and then from the retractable cable, go up and charge my camera. I won't have to worry about wearing out this cord over time by hanging weight off of it. That's pretty cool. It also has pass-through charging, which means you can charge up the battery itself while still charging other stuff with it. So if you've got a ton of stuff to charge before leaving the house, this thing can act like sort of a charging hub while still staying charged itself. And since it's USB-C, you can use something like a MacBook charger. Something powerful and fast that can keep up with charging multiple devices at once. One thing with pass-through though, while the charger is hooked up to the battery, let's say you're not using a big beefy charger, if you're using like a little wall charger, while the charger's hooked up to the battery's only gonna output the amount of watts that the wall charger is capable of. Without a wall charger charging the battery, this drone will take 60 watts because that's the maximum amount of power this battery will accept while it's plugged into the drone. And even while that's happening, like I showed earlier, if I plug in my phone will charge with about 18 watts, sometimes 20 watts. I don't know what the difference is, but plugging in my phone doesn't affect the drone's power draw at all. It keeps going at its maximum speed. But if I plug the wall charger into the battery, so I'm using the pass-through, keeping the battery topped off, it's gonna show me down here that it's got 17 watts to work with, 17 watts coming out of the wall, 18 watts. And it's giving 8 to the drone and 6 to the phone. So it's only gonna divvy out the maximum amount of power that's coming in through the wall. But if you plug in a bigger wall charger, then it can pass through all of the power and charge everything at its max speed, and whatever's left over just goes into the battery. I've been using this battery kind of like a mothership. So I'll keep it with me in this green bag that I always have when I'm working. I work remotely. I travel for work, so I'm at different venues all the time for a week to 3 weeks straight. Anyways, I'll always just have this in my bag, and then I'll keep 1 or 2 smaller battery banks in there too. This is a bit too big for a pocket when I do put my bag down, but with my job, I basically cannot ever let my phone die, so I just make sure that this guy is pretty much always charging a smaller battery on my way to a place, and then I break off with the little battery and put that in my pocket when I put my bag down and get to work. Anyway, I never have a dead phone, and your life is better with batteries.
This is too big for my pocket, especially my pocket. My pockets are very small, but I can't ever let my phone die. I can't. Do you know what would happen?
You also get like this countdown to when it's going to be charged meter when it's plugged in. I like that. When I was at CES, I needed to go like a full 10 hours with everything running. I needed a camera always on, not always shooting, but always on and ready to go. Gimbal batteries naturally last all day, so that's actually not a problem. Then my phone, microphones, headphones, a light in case something was dim but I needed to get a good shot of B-roll. For event photographers, this battery plus a purse makes for a super efficient setup. Never really saw myself carrying a purse, but now I'm a guy who carries a purse. Especially because of this retractable cord that comes out of the top of this thing, the battery can just live in my crossbody bag, and if I notice my camera getting low, I can just pull out this retractable cord, nothing else has to change or be in the way, and I can just zoop zoop, charge this bad boy up and keep running without ever worrying about anything. All Sony cameras can run while they're charging. This battery's capacity is 90 watt hours. I really don't like it when batteries measure themselves in milliamp hours. That's the like 20,000 number you'll see on Amazon. This one claims to be 10,000 milliamp hours. But that number that they give you, this 10,000 number, doesn't actually mean anything. 10,000 is a huge number. This is 20,000, that's a big number. But these batteries can output a bunch of different voltages, which means sure, this is a 20,000 milliamp hour battery at 3.5 volts. But when you charge your phone charges at 18 volts. And at 18 volts, now this is just a 1,111 milliamp hour battery. Watts, the total number of power, is volts times milliamps or times amps. So that milliamp hour number doesn't actually tell you enough about capacity unless it only runs at 1 voltage. This was the end of the video. Goodbye. Video. That one went better than the last one.